By far the most common 3D printing misconception that I hear is that you need your own 3D printer to actually print anything. In today's video though, I'm going to debunk that myth, explaining how you can 3D print your own models without having to lift a finger. As always, this video is brought to you by Purifico, innovating products to limit the spread of disease. If you find this video tutorial helpful or interesting in any way, be sure to of course hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, but more importantly for your own benefit, visit the Build Your Own program under Purifico.com where you can learn to build your very own electronic device from scratch. Okay, so there's actually two ways that you can 3D print from home. Of course, they're both online means, but the first way is by supporting local businesses and 3D printing in your own area. Now, I live in Los Angeles, and that's particularly large, and so there's a lot of 3D printing resources, 3D printing shops. As you can see, I just put into my browser 3D printing near me, and many results come up. I've used quite a bit of these for my own designs, and it gives you some freedom too. If you don't like one company, you can always switch to another one. That's the great thing about using this, and if it's in your area, you can always drive there, go pick it up. It's easy to communicate with the owners directly because you can bring it back if something's not up to par or correct. So there's a lot of freedom. You can see on the map here, there's quite a few options if you want to 3D print your own area. Now, if you live somewhere remote, perhaps the second option will be best, and so that's why I'm going to go into it now. So just put in your browser 3D printing services as I've done here. Once you've done that, you can probably scroll down and you're going to find the common 3D hubs, Sculpteo. You'll also find Shapeways. Now, all of these are great. I personally have never used one, but I've heard a lot of good things. I know people who have, and they provide a lot of services. So if we go to Shapeways, for example, if we go in Shapeways, you can get a quote, you can contact sales, you can also explore the different materials they have to offer. They have a lot of different materials. You can see from my smiley face, there is also the wax casting. So if I want to have it coated in gold, I can do that if I really wanted to. And they offer different materials and different ways of 3D printing, depending all on the model, the type of model you have, and the techniques that would best suit that model. Okay, so let's say we actually wanted to put this advice into practice. Let's say we wanted to 3D print this golden smiley face that we made in the last video. Now, if you haven't seen the last video and you don't have a model yet that's ready to be 3D printed, I highly recommend going to watch the last two videos. It'll help you be up to par with this video so you can actually implement the advice I'm giving you here today. So let's assume this is our model, right? We have the golden smiley face, it's all 3D modeled, it's ready to be 3D printed. So what you want to do, now that you have everything ready to go, you know what kind of material you want, you know that's exactly how you want it to look. Now that you have everything ready, everything sorted out, you're going to need to follow these steps closely in order to ensure that your thing gets printed exactly how you want it without actually you having to buy your own 3D printer and learning how to implement it at home. So for the sake of this example, we're going to be using Shapeways, but that does not mean you need to use Shapeways. Of course, there's a ton of 3D printing websites that offer the same services, but just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to be using Shapeways to demonstrate how this process usually works in 3D printing. So first, what you're going to need to do, you're going to head on to the 3D printing website, in the case of Shapeways, shapeways.com. From there, you're going to need to sign in and then click a button that'll be pretty obvious that'll say get a quote. Now, most 3D printing websites will have this feature, get a quote, unless it's some local business, in which case you might actually have to send them the 3D model via email, and they'll get back manually to you with a quote. But we're using Shapeways right now. So you can see here it says upload your 3D model. So that means that you need to download your 3D model from Fusion 360, export it to your downloads folder, and choose it or drag here. Then you're going to select a material and choose some other options. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're back in Fusion 360 now. From here, as I said, we're going to file and then export it to our downloads folder so that when we're on Shapeways or any other 3D printing website, we can easily get a quote using the 3D models that we have. So let's go ahead and do that. File, we go export here. Now it'll bring us to this page here, and you're going to need to select the type of file that you want it to be. So you can see default, it's Autodesk Fusion 360 archive files. However, most 3D printing platforms that actually allow you to get a quote use STL files, among others. So we're going to go ahead and select that for common usage. Let's remove this decal from there, and we're going to close this. And so it's going to export to my downloads folder, and from there we're going to go back into Shapeways and get it uploaded. So now we're back into Shapeways. And now we're at the point where you're going to actually upload the 3D file that you just exported to your downloads folder or wherever you did. And we're going to upload it to the Get a Quote page on whatever 3D printing website you happen to be using for this purpose. So I'm using Shapeways, as I mentioned before, so I'm going to go ahead, select my file, and upload it. And then after that, we're going to be able to select materials and choose the final options before actually 3D printing. So now you can see my model is actually uploading, and in a minute it's going to be analyzing the model so we can actually preview it with different materials applied and the various quotes that we're going to get from those. What I didn't mention before actually though is that when you're exporting STL files, it may take 3 to 5 minutes. So don't expect it to be instantaneous. It is quite a lengthy process, especially depending on the complexity of the 3D model you've created. This is fairly simple. So if you have a more complex model, it might take 10 to 15 minutes, or it might feel that way. It all depends, I guess, on the 3D printing software you're using and how quick your computer is at processing this. So here we have the 3D model, the smiley face. Of course, it's not gold anymore, but we can always select the material here that's actually going to 3D print. You can see gold is possible, right? Brass is possible on Shapeways, copper is possible, platinum. Now, of course, I'm not going to be using any of these because they are outrageously expensive. But if you're printing something for complex purposes, you want to 3D print something that's high-end, you could always use gold-plated brass, actual gold, platinum. And that's the amazing thing about a lot of these online 3D printing websites. They allow you to 3D print and have your materials be, fancy materials like copper and gold. So there's a lot of power in these. You can also 3D print clear materials. If I wanted this to be clear, I could go into SLA plastic and select clear. But for now, we're just going to go with the basic versatile plastic. And once I select the color, it's going to give me my quote here at the bottom. So if I want to go pink, it's going to tell me how much more expensive that is. And so I actually have an accurate picture of what this will look like and its quote. So once I have that all said and done, I can add it to cart and go ahead and make my purchase. But that said, what I would do before actually going to purchase on any of these websites is reach out to a few different places. I wouldn't just go on one 3D printing website, because then I would be limiting the amount of quotes I get. Of course, different websites give you different quotes. You want to get the best deal, right? Oftentimes, local businesses can offer the best deal, and you can still support local businesses in the process. I would still reach out to a variety of places for 3D printing your model so you get the best deal and best service possible. So, with that said, if you enjoyed today's video, or at the very least learned something new, please give it a like. That would be a huge help since I'm still a new channel. And please subscribe to the channel. That would also be a huge help. I also want your feedback in the comment section below, so leave a comment with any questions. I'll respond to them as quickly as possible. And thank you again for watching today's video. I'll see you next time.